Hey guys, Otaku here. Welcome back to another video. So I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do this week. I just felt like I've been uploading a lot of Pearly deck profiles lately, and I'm still playing Pearly. And I didn't want to do another tier list, and I don't have money to buy packs to open. And I don't know, I just kind of ran out of ideas. And seeing as right now it is peak season where I work due to Christmas. I haven't really had the time to focus on content to make. But the idea just kind of came to me last night before I went to bed. And I've never really shown off like my collection or like some of the higher rarity stuff or just cards that mean a lot to me. Because I play Yu-Gi-Oh! One, because I'm a very competitive person, and this game really makes me think and it just stimulates my brain. But also because I find a lot of like-minded people and that also like playing the game and get very competitive and make friends along the way and stuff. And some of my closest friends at this point are people I've met playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So I guess to start, I only recently started playing the game competitively. The week Power of the Elements first came out was when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. My first deck was Agents in a tier format, so you can only imagine how that went. But surprisingly, I didn't quit, despite the fact that Tearlament was, well, existent. And then Sprite also was very full power with Toad and Ronin Tonin and all that. But from there, I moved to Branded, and we can get in that a little bit. But and then just the rest is kind of history. I'm still playing the game very competitively. I love the game. I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh, this format's good, this format's bad. I'm just playing and I'm having a good time, but I'm also very competitive, and I can acknowledge, that this format might not be stronger than a couple formats ago or whatever. But we're gonna first start before we move on to like actual physical cards. This playmat right here, the Pearly Yu-Gi-Oh! Day playmat, was the first prize I ever won from a Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals. I had been playing the game for a bit because this was December of 2022, I believe. This was right before Photon Hypernova came out. And my locals didn't have any product available, so they put up this Yu-Gi-Oh! Day mat for prizing because the winner that won it from the raffle never claimed it. So they ended up putting this up for prizing. I was playing Goti Adventure, and I ended up winning it, and I still have it to this day. And now I finally have the deck, so I'm playing the deck, and I use this every time I play the deck as well. And it's just, again, it's one of my prized possessions, simply because this is kind of like the first milestone that was proving to me that I was becoming better of a player, that I was able to start topping my locals, and it was just kind of like the first milestone to showing improvement, because I tend to be a little insecure or even a little modest and say that like I'm bad at this game and stuff like that, just because I see a lot of the high level plays when watching these live streams and stuff, and it definitely makes me feel inferior sometimes. So like this was kind of like the first, like, hey, I'm getting better at this game. I topped a locals and I want to play med out of it. Since then, I've topped locals plenty of other times. I've even won like case tournaments, and I've come close to getting my first ever regional invite. Haven't gotten there yet, hopefully soon. But like this was definitely the first milestone, and it meant a lot to me. So let's move on to some of the cards that I consider some of my prized possessions, or like some of my like better pulls, or just cards that have memories behind them. First cards are a playset of ultimate rare water enchantresses. I did not pull these. For those who've watched my pack opening videos, my pull luck is some of the worst pull luck in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. I get lucky every so often, but so does a blind squirrel. But yeah, so I was building Plunder Adventure, and I did not have the Adventure engine. And this was before it got reprinted in the Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge, long before it. This was, I believe this was shortly after the release of Photon Hypernova. and I was trying to get my hands on this. Right was still like $50. Enchantress was fairly cheap, but my locals only had the ultimate rares and the collector's rares for sale. The collector's rare are a lot more expensive, so I just kind of bit the bullet and I bought the ultimate rares. I still think the collector's rares look a lot better, but yeah, these are cards that I will never sell, even though the Adventure Engine has been reprinted into the ground. But just like I put these in so many things, I put them in the Goaty Adventure. I put them in Plunder Adventure Runic. I put them in a lot of things. And if I ever get the collector's rares, I'll replace these, but I will never sell these because at the time I was not in a good financial position. I realistically couldn't afford these, and I bought them anyways. So yeah, this is a financial decision that will remain to be a reminder that maybe I shouldn't do that again. But yeah, I still think they look good though, for sure. But on to the next card, is just an ultra rare, Baron de Fleur. So this one in particular is not the one that I want to highlight. The one I want to highlight, I accidentally traded it away, and I'm in the works of actually getting it back, and I'm going to trade this one for it, because this was the one that was supposed to go. I currently don't have it, but at the same time I kind of do. I own a Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm Baron de Fleur, and that card, when it was released, was like $120. The card was pretty expensive up until the reprint of Maze, and even now it's still pretty well, not anymore because it got reprinted in Rarity Collection. But the reason that's kind of like a big deal to me is because I think this was like 2 or 3 sets after Synchro Storm. There was no reason to be buying Synchro Storm at this point unless you were going after Baron de Fleur, but I needed Baron for my agent deck. So I bit the bullet. When I say bit the bullet, I didn't buy it. I bought a box of Synchro Storm. There was nothing else in that set I wanted. Everything else in that set was easily $1 or under. And I was like, you know what? Last chance to get Baron before I just buy the card. I'll just buy the box, see if I pull it. First pack, pulled a Baron de Fleur. Again, this isn't the right one. Again, I accidentally traded that one away when I was supposed to be trading this one away. The guy I traded to was willing to make a deal, and I traded him this Maze one for that one. It's no big deal. But yeah, that just, again, my pull luck is not that great. It happens every so often, and you'll see that more as we go along down the list. My pull luck is not that great. It happens every so often, but I'm not as lucky as a lot of people. So the fact that the one card I was going after was the first card I pulled out of that set was astonishing. And just, it released good toxins into my brain, especially since we gamble here. So next card is Collector's Rare Guardian Chimera. I'm going to need to pull it out of the sleeve for this one because it is not nearly as noticeable in the matte sleeve. But yeah, Collector's Rare Guardian Chimera. I owned, keyword being owned, a Guardian Chimera at the time. But the reason this is memorable is because this was the week after Maze of Memories had released. And my locals, we were playing for it. We had just finished the tournament, and behind the desk, there were 8 more packs of Maze of Memories. There was only 8. I chose to buy 4 of them to see if I pulled anything. Spoiler alert, I didn't pull anything. My buddy Greg proceeded to buy the last 4 behind me. And in those 4, he pulled a Collector's Rare Guardian Chimera, a regular Ultra Rare Guardian Chimera, and a Baron de Fleur. And I was just blown away. Guardian Chimera now, despite, the Chimera branded deck, which has raised his price back up, because his price went really, it tanked after Maze of Memories. But Guardian Chimera has shot back up a little bit in price. The CR is still very much up there. But when this came out, this was like $80, $90. I had to trade away an entire Magician Souls package, 3 souls and 3 Illusion of Chaos to get this. At the time, that was an even trade. Now, because Illusion of Chaos got reprinted in the tins, not so much an even trade. But, shout out to my buddy Greg for, doing that trade for me. He's a big Dark Magicians fan, so I knew he would go for the Souls package for sure. But, yeah, since then I have not traded it away. I refuse to trade it away because I do play Branded. I play Branded Chimera, and just overall, it's a great fusion staple to have. So, next couple cards, I'm sure you've all have seen in my Pearly videos. One you haven't seen is my recently acquired QCR E Pearly Noir. There's nothing really special about this. I decided that I wanted to have a higher rarity Pearly card, aside from the one I'm about to show. And this is a one of in the deck, and it's only like $50. So I just kind of was like, I have $50 extra because of all the overtime I've been working. I'm going to buy it. There's not really a good story behind this. But then this collector's rare Pearly. I did not pull this, unfortunately. My buddy Noah, he pulled it. He was in the process of building Rescue Ace, and he decided to buy some Amazing Defenders from his local Walmart or local Target or whatever. And he pulled this, and everyone in the chat knew that I wanted this, so they kept their mouth shut. They backed off. I was pretty much the first person to message him. I was like, let me get my hands on that. The issue is I didn't have a lot of money at the time to buy it off of him, and I certainly didn't have $80 worth of trade. So he ended up working out a deal with me. I had to hit up my buddy Angus to get a collector's rare Turbulence off of him. My buddy Angus was willing to let me pay him back later, because I was due to have a pretty sizable paycheck later on. So I told him, hey, if you send this card to me, I will pay you back. And yeah, so I worked out that trade. I got the Turbulence, and then I traded it for the collector's rare Pearly. But yeah, and again, my biggest advice to people who are playing a deck is don't start max raritying it. Don't get the max rarity before you truly enjoy the deck, or if you have money. If you have money, do what you want with your money. But don't, if you are just oh my god, this deck has a lot of Starlights, a lot of CRs, a lot of QCRs, and I play it, so I gotta be blinging out. If you don't like the deck, I would not recommend testing it out. If you don't know if you're gonna like the deck, don't max rarity it. Make sure you like a deck before you max rarity it, which is what I'm doing with Pearly. Now that I know for a fact I like this deck and I'm going to be playing it for a while, I'm finally starting to max rarity it, one collector's rare at a time. So yeah. Then we have a singular Little Knight and a Triple Tactics Thrust Ultimate Rare. I pulled these on the same day. So I, thanks to my buddy Tyler, funny enough, the same name, my buddy Tyler, I was able to get a Little Knight basically on the release of Agov. He was willing to make a deal with me. However, I then proceeded to go to an Age of Overlord case tournament the week after. And in my OTS packs, I pulled an Ultimate Rare Triple Tactics Thrust, which was good because I really needed to get my hands on a Thrust. And then after that, I won. I got top 4 in the case tournament. So I proceeded in my boxes to pull a Little Knight. I since then have sold the one that my buddy Tyler gave to me, and I kept the one that I pulled because it's very rare that I pull really good things. So when I pull basically one of the best cards in the game, it means a lot. And at the same time, again, I pulled both of these on the same day. I will give my buddy Tyler credit though. He went with me to that case tournament as well. I let him open packs. He technically pulled this, so but it came from my box, so I still count it as me pulling it. So but no, the fact that I pulled both of these on the same day, and I won, and I got top 4 in that case tournament. I keep saying I won, but I got top 4, and the reason I say I got top 4 is because top 4 didn't play it out, so no one really knows who would have won. But just the fact I got top 4 and pulled 2 $100 cards in one day was like, it was a really good day. And again, that was one of those scenarios where it was proof that I was very much improving at the game. And for anyone who wants to know, like, the deck I was running Pearly, and it wasn't last week's deck profile, but the deck profile before that was the deck profile I was running at that case tournament. So, yeah. And then still talking about Triple Tactics Thrust, I have one other, the Secret Rare. I pulled this at my sneak peek of Photon Hypernova. I bought a box before literally anybody. I got there really early, bought a box before anyone showed up, and I pulled a Secret Rare Triple Tactics Thrust. So I've been hanging on to this since then, and before that Ultimate Rare, this was the only copy I had. So moving on, I have an Ultimate Rare Dragon Knight Draco Akist, or however you want to say this. My buddy Angus bought this for me. I was running Branded Chimera at the time, and I needed some Super Poly targets. I had Garou and Mud Dragon, but I needed Draco Akist, and funny enough, I already had Guilty Gearfried. And I was like, man, I really wish, and I was in a Discord call with him, I was like, man, I really wish I had the money to get the Ultimate Rare. And then like later in the call, he told me, he's like, hey man, I just bought you that Ultimate Rare, it's on the way. And I was like, oh shit. So yeah, I try to hang on to cards that like my friends get for me, or they just give to me, because it does mean a lot. Yeah, so that's it. That's it behind that one. So speaking of Ultimate Rares, I also have an Ultimate Rare Infernity Doom Dragon. So when I was in sophomore year of college, I actually was trying to get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I just didn't realize that there was this big wall, a big paywall, which is the reason I didn't actually end up competitively playing until the Power of the Elements format. But I did, at the time, I was playing Legacy of the Duelist, and my favorite deck in Legacy of the Duelist was the Infernities. This was 2015, 2016, something like that. So I don't know if Infernities were really good still back then, but so yeah, that at the time that was my favorite deck. So I was buying cards, and I ended up buying a handful of Infernity cards, but I bought the Ultimate Rare Infernity Doom Dragon. And since then I've really hung on to it, just kind of remind me, like, you know, this was one of my favorite archetypes, and you know, I hope someday Infernities will come back, but when we play a game that relies on hand traps, and this is a deck that you don't want to have cards in your hand, I just don't foresee that happening all that much, but you know, who knows? Still on that Ultimate Rare chain, we have a Sprite Blue. This is my only copy of Ultimate Rare Sprite Blue. As you can see, it does not have the spiral, which is very unfortunate. But this card is kind of like, it's a reminder that my girlfriend is kind of the reason that I am playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. When I first started dating Haley, she asked me what my hobbies were, and you know, I told her that I liked collecting Yu-Gi-Oh! But I didn't play it. And she kind of was encouraging me to get back into the game, and due to that, it caused me to want to play competitively and actually physically play, meet new friends and stuff to play the game. And that also because at the time I was slowly weaning out of content creation, aside from YouTube, of course. But, you know, I was streaming all the time. I was making TikToks, but now all I do is YouTube. And that's because I kind of got burnt out on all of that stuff. And so I was kind of looking for a hobby, and content creation, to the extreme I was taking it, was a bit of a lonely life. And so when I started making friends with Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that, it only drove me to want to play it more. And so since then, my girlfriend, she still doesn't understand Yu-Gi-Oh! To a great degree, but she wanted to continue to show interest in my hobbies. So she wanted to build a deck, and she really liked the Melfi cards. And so I built for her Sprite Melfi. And while I was in the process of doing that, I pulled a Ultimate Rare Sprite Blue. And funny enough, this tournament in particular that I pulled it in, my buddy David owed me a little bit of money, so we agreed that he'd just pay for my entry that week. And funny enough, one of his favorite decks is Sprite, and he told me, he's like, if you pull the Ulti Sprite Blue out of your entry packs that you got from me paying for your entry, I will flip my lid. And sure enough, I pulled the Ulti Sprite Blue, and he flipped his lid. But yeah, so again, the Sprite Blue is just kind of like, it commemorates the fact that I am a very lucky individual to have a significant other that really supports my hobby. And, to that, Haley, I want to thank you, and, I'm really lucky to have you, and I love you. So moving on to the next card. We're going to move on to a couple more CRs here. We're getting close to the end of my, memory collection-ish. And that is Hungry Burger. I have a Collector's Rare Hungry Burger and a Collector's Rare Chef Special. So when Wild Survivors came out, I heard Hungry Burger was getting support. And I kind of wanted to be just a meme lord at the time, so I bought and built the entirety of the Nouvelle deck. I love it. I love that deck. I think Nouvelle is really fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it in Master Duel. Once I found out I loved it, I wanted to get my hands on the Collector's Rare Hungry Burger and Chef Special. I don't have the Collector's Rare of the restaurant just yet, because they are a little more up there in price. But the Chef Special was like $12, and I think it actually looks really good. Not to mention, it's the only Collector's Rare in the entire deck that its original printing doesn't come as a holo. Chef Special comes as a rare or a Collector's Rare, whereas Hungry Burger is least super rare in the set. And then Hungry Burger, you can't play Nouvelle and not run the Collector's Rare Hungry Burger. You're just kind of crazy at that point if you're doing that. But I think both Collector's Rares just look really solid. Just the texture and background and all that just looks really good. And like I said, it's one of my favorite decks. Comment below, if you want to see more, or if you want to see my Nouvelle deck profile. I'm considering rebuilding the deck because I did dismantle it for a short time, but with the new support that came out in Age of Overlord, I'm considering rebuilding it. So yeah, if you want to see my deck profile, comment down below for sure. As for the last Collector's Rare, Joker Straight. So when I got this card, I was playing a lot of King's Knight, Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, Poker Knight deck in Master Duel. I really liked the deck, and King's Court had just come out, which is one of my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh sets. I think it's just a really cool set. Some of the Collector's Rares are some of the best stuff, and it's just very nostalgic. Not to mention the Pharaoh Rare, Egyptian God cards or whatever. And I didn't pull this, unfortunately, but I was going around to some other locals in the area, and I got to this one that had this in the case, and I noticed it was a Collector's Rare, and I asked the guy what the price was, and he comes up to me and tells me it's $1, and that didn't sound right. And that's when I realized he couldn't identify that it was a Collector's Rare. He was not a Yu-Gi-Oh player. And I'm gonna be honest, I took advantage of that. I paid $1 for this card. And yeah, so I still hang on to it. Maybe one day I'll fully build the deck in paper, but I've only ever played it in Master Duel, and I haven't even played it with the most recent support that came out in Crystal Revenge. But overall, it's one of my favorite archetypes, even though I don't play the deck all that often. I like the archetype. It's very nostalgic. And again, I got it for $1. I think this card's only $10, but still, just overall, the fact that the local guy could not identify that it was a Collector's Rare, and again, I took advantage of that. But it'd be like that sometimes. Then we have one of my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards, if not my all-time favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card, Madolche Queen Tiramisu. I have in a quarter century Collector's Rare, or quarter century Secret Rare, or whatever they call it, a QCR. Yeah, as you all know, I've said it 1,000 times on this channel, Madolche is one of my all-time favorite decks, if not my all-time favorite deck. I've played it in Master Duel, I've played it in Legacy of the Duelist, I've played it in actual physical paper. I love how this deck plays, even though it is not game breaking by any means. It's a very fair deck, and it's, at times tends to be overwhelming. I'm constantly experimenting with ways to play this deck. I played it with Magical Hound to turbo out essentially Naturia Beast. I played it with Rev Synchron to get like an end board with Regulus and Naturia Beast and just stuff like that. Like, I really like playing around with this deck. And my buddy Noah, when Crystal Revenge came out, pulled a quarter century secret rare, and he traded it to me. As you all can tell, I get a lot of my high rarity stuff from trading with my friends. Because again, my pull rate is dog shit. My best pull rates have been like lately. Like I said, I pulled that Triple Tactics Thrust. I pulled that Little Knight in one day. And then the case tournament I went to 2 weeks ago, I pulled an ultimate rare enemy controller. I did trade that away. I don't have it. But my pull rate has been garbage for the longest time, and it only recently got better. And I'm sure that's going to be short-lived. So moving on to the next part. So this next part, I do have a binder. This is my only actual I have two collections. I have a number collection, which I'm not going to show you guys today. But my only other collection is my branded collection. So aside from branded Chimera, I have dismantled the majority of branded. I don't have a branded Despia deck anymore because 90% of it is in here. And that's mainly because I have limited deck boxes, so I can't just put decks everywhere. So I do dismantle them if I'm not playing them. So I don't have like the Dogmatica Albaz binder, unfortunately. So I just put it in like an IP binder. So I do have like the ultimate. I have a playset of each ultimate rare of Branded Fusion, Albaz, and Aluber. Branded Fusion, I only actually recently got the third copy. And all of them have spirals, thank God. But I only recently got the third copy at the case tournament I went to 2 weeks ago. But I believe it was this one I actually physically pulled. It was a really bad time in my life at the time because I had just gotten fired and I was struggling to find work, and my locals hired me for like 2 weeks just so I could make up some income. And the first weekend I was hired, I entered the tournament and I pulled this, and then this I actually got the week before. This was the week that the OTS 22 came out, and a buddy named Dylan pulled this and traded it to me. This thing was like $80 at the time. This thing alone killed my actual trade binder, and to this day I'm still trying to recover. The Ulti Albazes, my buddy Angus had all three of these, and he traded them to me for a really good deal, and did like a really discounted deal because it was my birthday. So, and then Ulti Alubers, I pulled one and I traded for the other two. Nothing real special about those, unfortunately. And then like I don't have a quarter century Albaz from the rarity collection, or not the rarity collection, the rarity collection, sorry. Not really interested in it. I have 3 ultras, and like I said, I just have a bunch of branded Despia stuff. I have 2 Cartesia because I didn't pull really any from the tins. I have 1 Quem. This card's really expensive now. But then we do have a couple of other stuff. I have 2 Lubellion before the reprint. But then we have one card in particular that I want to highlight before we end the binder here. And that is Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. So when the last support came out in Cyberstorm Access, I was really worried because everyone was talking about Sanctifier Dragon, and at the time we were pretty much expecting Expulsion to get banned very soon. And so with the Gimmick Puppet lock, which I was playing at the time, I was like, I need to get my hands on this. And I pulled this in my entry packs on Sneak Peek release. I then later got my hands on Rinbrum and Granganol. Starlight Granganol is only $100, so if you're a branded player and you have a spare $100 in your back pocket, get your hands on this thing. This thing is at an all-time low, and I'm actually planning on getting one here really soon with all the mandatory overtime I'm going to be getting from work. So, yeah, this thing's really cheap. Get your hands on it now. So, unfortunately, I don't have like any of the Starlights in branded. I don't have Starlight Cartesia, Quem, currently no Granganol, no Mirror Jades. And Mirror Jade's still like $300. And then I believe Lulu is also a Starlight. I could be wrong about that. I don't remember. But I don't have any of the Starlights, unfortunately. I don't have the QCR Lubellion. Unfortunately, because Dragon Link also plays Lubellion, his price is just constantly staying up there because it's not just Branded playing him. And like I said, and then back here is just like kind of engines that have been run with Branded. We have the Fusion Deployment, we have the Edge Imp package, we have the oh so wonderful gimmick Puppet Nightmare, DD Orthos, Versago for Branded Chimera, Dragoon, Super Poly and my Super Poly targets, and then of course Fusion Duplication because now I have thrusts. So yeah, that's just kind of my Branded binder. It's nothing crazy impressive, but it's a deck that's very dear to my heart because Branded is kind of like my upcoming in Yu-Gi-Oh! I told you guys I started with Agents, but I was only on Agents for a month. My buddy Angus, which is kind of like my mentor, he's the guy who really helped me get as far as I am in Yu-Gi-Oh! Along with my buddy Kyle, who has recently been like furthering that progress. My buddy Angus got me to play Branded. I was really into Predaplants, and he told me to play Branded Predaplant, and from there, Branded is the reason. Like Branded is the deck I ran for 8 to 9 months straight. No other deck had play in my hands other than Branded, and the deck kind of just evolved. I was on Branded Predaplant all the way from Power of the Elements to Photon Hypernova. Photon Hypernova, I finally converted over and went Branded Despia, and that's when I started seeing a lot of improvement. And so Branded, like I said, just kind of holds a deep part in my like memories, my heart. I know many people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community roll their eyes to Branded players, but this deck means a lot to me. It will be one of my pet decks for the longest time. But we have one more card to show off in my collection before I end this video. Technically two. The first one is my QCR Stardust Dragon. It's not a Starlight rare by any means, but is the QCR Stardust Dragon. My buddy Noah pulled this. I got it off of him. Again, I get a lot of my cards from Noah because he just seems to have good luck towards the cards I want, but never the cards he wants. He bought the last 3 tins from my locals when I was on the way there. I was planning to get one of the tins that night, and I got there, and he got there before me, but when I got there, I found out he bought the last 3, and in one of them, he got this, so I managed to get it off him. But the most prized card in my possession is on the other side. My Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon. Now, many of you, if you have been on the channel for a while, saw this in my Goaty Adventure deck profile, which might add is very outdated, and I know some people want to see a more updated version of that. But this is my most prized possession. Stardust Dragon. This card is beat the fuck up. A lot of the scratches you are seeing are on actually the case, but a handful of them are on the card. This thing is by no means mint condition. I didn't know what I pulled when I was a kid, but this is like my first ever like good pull as a kid that I can remember. Like I said, I didn't know what I pulled when I was a kid. I thought there was something wrong with the card because, I couldn't see it. It's not first ed either. I pulled it from one of those Yu-Gi-Oh tins. I believe it was, funny enough, a Stardust tin. So I had a regular like ultra rare or secret rare Stardust, and then in the set that and then those tins back then, had a pack, one pack from like the last 3 or 4 release sets. So in the pack from that had Stardust Dragon in it, I believe it was Return of the Duelist or something like that, or no, I don't remember what set this was from. Duelist Genesis, that's what it's called. So the one pack in the tin that was in that this bleh, the one pack of Duelist Genesis that was in the tin, I pulled this from. And again, I thought there was something wrong with it, but Stardust Dragon, that's one of the most staple cards in the history. So I kept it. But as a kid, I wasn't sleeving my cards. I didn't have a deck box, so I didn't take care of it, to say the least. This thing by no means is bent, but it is damaged along the sides. It has scratches. So, it's very heavy played, and it's not first edition. So this thing is probably not worth a whole lot, but I don't care, because to me, it's worth everything. This is my most prized Yu-Gi-Oh card, and probably one of my most prized possessions. Yeah. So that's really it. Like I said, I just kind of winged it for this video. I didn't have anything planned. And I haven't had time to really pay attention to what's going on in the meta game of Yu-Gi-Oh. So I don't really know what's going on with Centurion, other than the fact that I know a lot of people find the deck very underwhelming because it does like Calamity Lock, and that's really it. But I don't know. We'll be back on the meta discussions hopefully next week. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment below what your most prized Yu-Gi-Oh card is, or like your best pull ever. Definitely interested to hear that. But thank you all for watching. Leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. The channel's doing really good lately, and if we could break 1,600 subscribers before December, or before the end of December, that would be really cool. But yeah, I'll see you all next week in next week's video. See ya.